Alright, so this is going to be me putting back together the Code 3 narrow stick. So that's what we got going on here. I took the frame apart, put a fresh coat of paint on it. One of the modules was actually burned out on these and only had 3 lights going. So off of another one, I had actually pieced one back together. What mess of shit I got going on here. So let's see here on the narrow stick. There's 3 different narrow sticks here. This is another one that's got 2 light heads that's burned out. That would be, I think, right? No, it's not this one. This is the one I actually got the parts from because this also had a light burned out. So I pulled a second one. So these ones here are this board, which pretty much just has the wire that comes through the back, plugs in, and then they put a whole bunch of this silicone-y crap here. And this is not epoxy, this is very rubbery, so I'm going to assume silicone. But that's all it is. They put a little sticker in the back there, it says amber for what color it is, and put a whole shit ton of clear silicone in the back of this to cover that rubber grommet that's there. And this little wire just goes through and plugs into the board because all the stuff is on the board. Well, this one is burned out. This one's not working, and this one off this little stick here was burned out as well. Or no, this one only had 3 diodes. That's right. So these ones here are actually different. As you can see on this one here, it's got all chip technology and stuff here, all the chipsets and shit. And this one here is nothing more than just a bunch of lights wired to a board and then connected to a 2-pin plug, which in turn plugs in to the brains back here. So what I did was I took, as you can see we're missing one here, I took this board off and the light, and this is mine right here. It's all filled with hot glue, kind of seal it up some. Oh, that stuff shrinks pretty damn well. But anyway, so I had taken this board, stuck it in there, ran the wire through, back to the board, took my wire that goes to that, cut it, and wired it to the end, or to the to these 2 wires coming out, and then screwed everything together. There's an internal lens, so I screwed it to the that internal lens down, and then stuck the board back here, ran a bead of hot glue underneath it so that nothing connects to the metal, as well as when I set it in there, I had glued it in place so that everything's sealed up, not going anywhere, and then re-glued this lens back into place because these lenses are literally just set in with glue. And I got a surprise on this actually, because if I look at some of these stickers, I can't see, and maybe not in this one, but one of these had a sticker on it that actually said made in China. Surprise, Code 3, made in China, huh? I'm not a big fan of that, guys. So if that's the case with all the Code 3 product, then I really have lost faith in Code 3. I thought at least, well, some of their stuff's made here. Like a lot of the older stuff was made here, and then they outsourced to China to a big, production center, and unfortunately this is where we get with it. So real quick, what I'm going to do here is set this wire harness into place. Oh shit, no, I can't do that, can I? Yeah, I can, because that was kind of the whole big deal on this in the first place, was you had to have the wire harness in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that into place, and I'm going to put these first 2 in. These are spacers that just go in between the light heads to give it the length that I guess they wanted the bar to be. Because realistically there's no other reason for it than that, other than anchoring points. So as far as I can remember, and I've got the wire sequence written down on this, so I'm not too tripping on that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these here like that. And okay, now we're going to put this guy back into place. If it gets in there, these are a little tricky sometimes. Okay, so this was all Phillips screws, if I remember correctly. That way if I run across any of them that are not Phillips. Welland traffic director. It's a D6. Somebody called it a D6. It's 6 lights independent, all hooked up to a director for the flash. There's no flash or internal on that one, so I'm thinking of doing something with that, but if I do, I'm going to have to either leave that box hooked up and just set it to flash, or what I'm going to probably do, and this is what I'm thinking of doing, is go get an external flasher and hook it up to that. That'll give me the ability to change patterns. With this, there's only like 2 patterns in the flash mode, and they're pretty just random. Because it's not really designed for a flasher as more as it's designed for a traffic director. I've got that big 8-head bar there that I'm going to actually hook up. So we're going to start by putting these screws back in here. There's 2 on the front and there's 2 on the side to hold this plate in place as I try to get a good angle here for the camera. If everything goes quickly, I should be able to put this thing back together relatively quickly. I'm using all hand tools. I've used drills or, you know, screwdriver, cordless screwdrivers on these things before. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like that because you can strip these screws out real easily. See, that's a torque screw. That goes to a different one. This is all Phillips screws on this one. So as I run across the torque screws here, I'm going to put them off to the side because they don't belong to this one. I could use them, but I just rather keep everything the same screwdriver type, so if you have to take it apart later, you're not jumping between 50 different screwdrivers trying to figure out, you know, which one's going to work. Okay, so there we go with that. Alright, so before I put the light heads in, like the first, so what we'll do is we'll put these in here, lay this wire harness out like that, and we'll start putting these in. I'd taken these off and put a nice clean coat of paint on them as well. Though the paint didn't come out as well as I wanted to, but it is a lot better than what this thing used to be because it had a lot of white overspray from somebody's paint job on it. I wasn't a big fan of that, so that's why I went back with a fresh coat of black. And these just slide into this little channel right here. So this is going to be kind of a, it's going to be a build video, but this is going to be more of an informational, see how everything goes together. So yeah, that kind of slides like that, and we'll put all these together, slide them down like so, and then the big 2 light modules are going to be going in between. So that's what we're going to do here. For the moment, we're going to put everything just the way it is, so that you see it there. And then I can actually put the end caps in because it's not going to hinder me any bit. So that's what I'm going to do here real quick, is just get the end caps put in. Plastic, I would have liked these to be aluminum at least, or metal. Some kind of metal, that would have been nice. So as I'm looking here, I got more of those torque screws, so I'm trying not to use those on this. I'm assuming this is just different ages in these things, because my initial thought was I'll take one apart and use the modules out of it to fix another one, but as I ran into each one of these bars, realizing that the modules are all different and not realistically interchangeable without creativity, like you said, like you saw, I hot glued that one together basically. The good thing with the hot glue is at least it'll make a nice weather seal and keep everything from moving around. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. At least not the back of it, because the back's not going to be exposed to realistically water anyways, unless this thing is sunk into water. If this thing is sunk into water, then that light head is not going to be weatherproof. Because that hot glue, as it cools, shrinks. So. Alright, so we're just getting these last couple of screws here. Why these ones are being a pain to want to go in. What they did was they just got a plate and they put drilled a hole in it and then drove in these wood screws, machine screws, right on. I just put one hell of a scratch on that. Now we're back. I got that end cap in finally. The screws put up a fight. I've got a bunch of these torquey screws here that are mixed in, so I'm just pulling those out to separate them. I'm not going to be using those ones on this light bar. So real quick, I'm just going through and grabbing a set of these Phillips screws, cross type screwdriver screws. Okay, there we go there. Got a few of those. I got more over there. So if I run out, I'll get them. Okay. So there's a wire sequence to this, or a color sequence. All the red, or the 2 red wires on the end, are feeding main power. We've basically got it sequence. That's not the sequence, that's for the Whelen. So the sequence on this one is from left to right. Actually, let's do it this way. That way everything's in place. Okay, so it's blue, yellow, gray, then green. So we'll start on this side, and then like we'll leave out the middle ones. So there's blue. I'm going to put this one as blue. There's blue. Okay, that goes there like that. It's yellow, gray, and green. Here's yellow. And these go a certain way, so you got to put them in there just like that. There's yellow and gray. And then that one goes there like that. Just tuck the wire in, make sure it clears and doesn't hinder up on nothing. That guy in there, and that appears to be how that's supposed to go. Yeah, I can see this whole thing wouldn't be rated because it leaves a gap. That's why they weatherproofed it. Alright, so then we got green. Somebody's got a horn going on there. I love it when people just show up somewhere and all they do is blank the horn, and that's how they figure they're going to wake somebody up. Okay, so green, then it's purple. So here is purple. If I get this turned the right direction, yeah, that is the right direction, but that one isn't, so. Yeah, these only go a certain way. So there's purple. I'll leave that one out because I need to move these in order to get the wires off of these. So purple, beige, and orange. So here's beige. I couldn't use a different color. Beige looks like brown, but it's a lighter brown. So, and then we have orange, which is this one here. See, when I cut the zip ties, I actually lengthened the cable a little bit. Yeah, they have this thing pretty well caught up. Okay, and then the last one, of course, is brown, which will be our repaired module, which is the one I did fix in the first place. So there's that one. So what we do is, first things first, we'll set that one in place, tuck the wire, push this little spacer out, put this one in there because I'm going to leave that middle one for last. Just like that, and then we put this one in there. Trying to make this a quick video. This doesn't really take very long to do. That one goes in there like that, and now there's like 4 screws on each of these that have to go in. So what I will do is I will start by putting one on each corner just to hold them in place. They should go relatively easily. However, when I did paint these brackets, the spacers, I took a file to the edges to clean them up because they were pretty rough. I don't think they figured anybody was going to care because they were tucked away behind, so they didn't take the time to deburr nothing. And when I went through and did my paint job on it, I elected to do that because I like that little extra bit that you do there to clean up. So yeah, there's 4 screws on each of these. Yes, if I use a power screwdriver they go a lot faster, but this is also aluminum, so if you go too hard with that you can actually strip the holes out. This is kind of why I like to do it with hand tools. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I guess I'll keep going here. So we got a whole bunch of screws to put back in here. There's 4 per light head, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 light heads, because the middle ones are doubled, which does suck because if one of these goes out you can't replace just one, you have to replace the whole double. But I actually went online, I was trying to find parts for these, and it's like almost non-existent. Code 3's website sucks. And then there's of course no part numbers on these I can cross-reference without trying to pull up parts diagrams and whatnot. And some of the stuff they had listed was like over $100 for a light, and I was like, screw that. I think I got these 3 bars in a bundle for like 50 bucks. So I didn't really pay a shit ton of money on them, which is fine by me. So I'm just checking these out. I think these are all Torx. Oh, there's a Phillips, there's a Torx, there's a Torx, there's a Torx, there's a Torx, and those are all Torx. I have to go grab that pile I got over there and get the rest of the Phillips out of these. There's supposed to be a lot more Phillips screws than Torx. And I guess if I had to, I can always grab 4 out of the ends and do the Torx. So, yeah, pile of crap there. There's the rest of the screws. My Torx screwdriver. Grab all these. Yeah, this is what happens when I get creative and start working on stuff. I end up with a big pile of mess that I'll have to clean up before I leave today. So, Torx, Phillips, 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 Bailey Bays, Torx and Phillips, Torx, Phillips, Phillips, Torx, Torx, and Phillips. Okay, so hopefully that's enough. I should need 8 more after these 2, so I need 10, and it looks like I got about 10 there. Kind of the one I'm screwing in now. So yeah, I got them all plugged in. We're just doing the whatchamacallit here, doing the screws, and then the finale will be I'll light this thing up. I don't have a controller for it, or I do have a controller actually. I put 3 controllers somewhere. I'm not sure if it's for this bar or for a different one. One of these I pulled out is actually only a 5-wire because the doubles are actually all 1. Actually, it was this one. Yeah, it was this one here. These 2 in the middle are all 1. Even though the light head's split off separately, these boards light up on 1 trigger, so yeah, I would have been for that one being 2 separates, but I guess they designed it that way. Now my plan on this one is to actually just turn this into a 6 light head, which would basically be 3 wires. And then the same thing with the other one. This would be a 3-wire 6 light head, and then the other one would be a the other one's got an individual module, so the other one would be a 6-wire 6 light head. This is a 3-wire 6 light head. And it looks like we got about that much on the screws. I'm trying to make sure the camera's aimed right so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Little things to stay busy. Somebody asked me if I ever relax. I do, and then when I get too relaxed and I start going stir crazy, I grab a little thing, work on little things like this, just in my hobby time. And that's what this is, my hobby time. See, that's what I meant. That one's stripped. Yep, that one stripped out. Okay, that's fine. It's in there though. It's bit. It just won't get any tighter. And this one here is tight. Okay. So let me move the bunch of shit around here and then we'll come back and I'll light this thing up. Stick. So this is how this works. There's 2 red wires and those are positive. Traffic directors work on negative or ground switching. So they it'll be 1 positive wire, or in this case 2, going to all the light heads and then individual grounds. So that's what we've got. And I will grab this one. Okay, so we've got blue. There's blue. There's yellow. There's gray and green. And then we've got purple. Yes. And we've got beige. And we've got another orange and then brown. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, brown's right here. There's that one I fixed. Alright, so let me put all these together and we'll just turn the whole thing on. Try to get them all lined up so that way I can twist them together and they stay. Not very long on these wires, so purple and beige and orange and brown. White wire would be used for a low power option, however this one's not set up that way. So it's just there because they use the same harness that I guess they would use on lots of other versions. Why? Low power is generally controlled by the controller itself. At least on the Whalens it is. Lightheads all have individual wires, and then the controller just reduces the amount of power output. The percentage of voltage, I guess you would call it that. Alright, so kind of all tucked together. We're missing one, or we got one that's not hooked up. The brown wire, which I guess may be too much for it. Yeah, I guess and that's what it is. This is too much. I only got a little 3 amp supply here, so might be the deal. Let's see if I pull off. See if I hook that up. Unless I get the wires hooked up backwards, but I doubt it. Yeah, I'll have to check in on that. I think it just might have to do with the factor that, yeah, see what it is it's too much. Not enough voltage going to the end, and that one's dropping out. So all these are kicked in. So how many? This just has to do with the power supply, so it's not the bar itself. So let's put a couple of these on here. There's 4. There's 6. I think that's why they have a separate hot too going to these. Yeah, see that 5th one there? It just really dims that thing out. So that's all that is just too much power, and we don't have enough voltage going through here. But yeah, that's it. That's it for that. Guess I could light up the Dominator here, or the Dominator style traffic director real quick. Now, you know what? I'll say that for another video. But yeah, that's this Code 3 NARROWSTICK. After pulling these apart, pile of shit. Oh, glad I didn't buy it brand new. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.